Few names in modern American history stir as much unease, suspicion, and unanswered questions as Jeffrey Epstein. He was a billionaire financier with an unclear source of wealth, a convicted sex offender who mingled with presidents, royalty, and global elites, and at the center of one of the darkest scandals the United States has ever faced. But the most disturbing part of the Epstein case isn't just what we know, it's what remains hidden inside the Epstein files. A trove of documents, flight logs, court records, and witness statements that have been partially released to the public but largely sealed from view. The Epstein case is a story of money, power, secrecy, and a system that seems to protect the rich and connected while leaving the most vulnerable behind. And the deeper you dig, the darker it becomes. Jeffrey Epstein: wealth, influence, and mystery. Jeffrey Epstein was born in Brooklyn in 1953. By the 1980s, he had transformed himself into a financial prodigy, or at least that was the story he told the world. He claimed to work exclusively with the ultra-wealthy, promising private wealth management and secretive investment strategies. Yet Epstein left almost no paper trail of his activities. There were no public filings, no clear portfolio, and no typical hedge fund operations. What he did have were assets and access that few could ever imagine. A sprawling mansion in Manhattan, including a private library and gymnasium, a private island in the U.S., Virgin Islands dubbed Little St. James, luxury estates in Palm Beach, New Mexico, and Paris, a fleet of private jets, including the notorious Lolita Express, connections to global political leaders, royalty, tech giants, and media moguls. This combination of wealth, secrecy, and access made Epstein untouchable for decades and would become the foundation of one of the most shocking scandals in modern history: the first arrest and the lenient plea deal. In 2005, Florida authorities began investigating Epstein after multiple underage girls reported sexual abuse at his Palm Beach estate. The allegations were serious, detailed, and consistent. Victims described coercion, manipulation, and a network of recruitment that allowed Epstein to exploit dozens of minors. Yet in 2008, Epstein received a plea deal that shocked the public. He avoided federal prosecution for charges that could have carried decades in prison. He served only 13 months in a county jail. With work release privileges, he was shielded from the full consequences of his crimes. The deal was approved by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who later suggested Epstein had connections in intelligence circles. That statement would fuel years of speculation about whether Epstein was protected, and if so, by whom. The Epstein files. What do they contain? The term Epstein files refers to an enormous and complex collection of information surrounding Epstein's activities. They include court records from civil and criminal cases, sealed witness testimony, flight logs from private jets, financial statements and offshore accounts, emails, address books, and contact lists. Some portions of these files have been released through Freedom of Information requests and media leaks. Others remain heavily redacted or sealed, fueling speculation about what they might contain. Taken together, these documents suggest a systematic network of influence and abuse, one that extended far beyond Epstein himself. Flight logs and connections. Perhaps the most disturbing evidence comes from Epstein's private flight logs, which list thousands of trips over decades. These logs reveal access to former U.S. presidents, members of royal families, high-profile business leaders, celebrities, and media figures. It is crucial to note that not everyone on the flight logs is accused of a crime, but the sheer scale of Epstein's access is staggering. He wasn't operating on society's periphery. He was embedded at the highest levels of power, traveling freely with people who could shield him or potentially influence investigations. Ghislaine Maxwell, the gatekeeper. If Epstein was the mastermind, Ghislaine Maxwell was the facilitator. Maxwell, daughter of British media mogul Robert Maxwell, had grown up with deep ties to elite society. She became Epstein's confidant, travel companion, and alleged recruiter for underage girls. Court documents and prosecutors describe Maxwell as orchestrating a network of recruitment and grooming for Epstein's abuse. She organized meetings, arranged travel, and, according to testimony, encouraged victims to comply. In 2021, Maxwell was convicted on several charges related to sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Yet even with Maxwell behind bars, questions remain. Who else knew? Who else helped? And why were so few people ever held accountable? Epstein's mysterious death. In August 2019, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. The official ruling was suicide by hanging. Almost immediately, suspicions arose. Surveillance cameras reportedly malfunctioned. Guards allegedly fell asleep. Jail procedures were not followed correctly. Epstein's death eliminated the possibility of further testimony from him and fueled endless conspiracy theories. His death left millions of unanswered questions, particularly about who else might be implicated and what secrets would remain buried. Sealed names and redacted truths. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of the Epstein files is the presence of sealed names in court documents. Many individuals linked to Epstein remain unidentified due to ongoing legal investigations, privacy protections, non-disclosure agreements, confidential settlements. Critics argue this creates a system in which powerful individuals remain protected while victims receive partial justice. Supporters of redactions maintain that not all connections imply wrongdoing. The problem is that the secrecy itself creates suspicion. Every redacted page, every sealed name, fuels speculation about the extent of Epstein's network and who might still wield influence today. Intelligence connections. Fact or speculation. One of the darkest theories surrounding Epstein involves intelligence agencies. There is no definitive public proof that Epstein was formally working for any agency. Yet questions persist because of his access to high-profile political and business figures, extraordinary protection in prior cases, reputation for intelligence, gathering through travel and connections. Some investigators suggest Epstein may have been an asset, an informant, or a liability used to leverage influence over powerful people. Whether true or not, the speculation adds another layer of intrigue and darkness to the Epstein files. The victims, faces often overlooked. Amid the focus on elites, it is crucial to remember the real victims of Epstein's crimes. Dozens of women have come forward describing sexual abuse, coercion, and manipulation. Traumatic encounters at Epstein's homes and on his private island. Many victims were silenced for years by legal settlements, non-disclosure agreements, and intimidation. While Epstein and Maxwell have become infamous, the victims' voices are often drowned out in media coverage. Their stories, however, are the core of the Epstein scandal, a chilling reminder that wealth and power can exploit the most vulnerable. Why the Epstein files still matter. The Epstein scandal isn't just a crime story, it's a story about power, influence, and accountability. The files reveal systemic failures in law enforcement, questions about political interference, and the ability of wealth to protect individuals from justice. They also show how far-reaching Epstein's network was, spanning continents, industries, and institutions. Every new document released, every new testimony revealed, deepens public outrage. Because the Epstein case is not just historical, it is ongoing, and it challenges the foundations of justice itself. Unanswered questions that haunt America. Even years after Epstein's death, key questions remain. Who else actively participated in his operations? Who knew and remained silent? Why were so many investigations closed prematurely? How much evidence disappeared with Epstein himself? until these questions are addressed fully, the Epstein files will remain one of the most disturbing unresolved scandals in American history. The secrecy, the sealed documents, and the partially released records make it clear. The story is far from over. A dark reflection on society. The Epstein files reveal a frightening truth. Influence, money, and access can bend systems designed to protect the vulnerable. They show how power can shield abusers, delay justice, and hide the truth. And they expose a societal tension between the rich and the untouchable, and the victims who struggle to have their voices heard. Epstein's story is not just about him. It is about the institutions that allowed him to flourish and the failures that remain uncorrected. Jeffrey Epstein's scandal shattered public trust, not just in individuals, but in systems designed to protect children and hold the powerful accountable. The Epstein files remain a haunting reminder that secrecy, influence, and privilege can conceal the truth for decades. As new documents emerge and investigations continue, one thing is clear: Epstein's story is far from finished. The questions he left behind about power, wealth, and accountability continue to demand answers. Watch the full video to uncover the hidden Epstein files, sealed names, and shocking secrets behind one of America's darkest scandals. And decide for yourself who got away and why.